So it's almost that time of year again. The annual Game Awards are right around the corner, and earlier today, Jeff Keighley revealed on Twitter who the 5 nominees are for Game of the Year. So what are the 5 titles, you may ask? Well, in the order that he revealed them, they are Bloodborne, Fallout 4, Metal Gear Solid 5, Super Mario Maker, and The Witcher 3. So these are, for the most part, titles that I probably would have expected. I'm sure most of us would have expected quite a few of these titles. There's one really big surprise, I'm not going to lie. To me, that is Super Mario Maker. But I'm going to go ahead and go over kind of my feelings on all these games. Overall, I think this is a pretty good list. I'm also really excited for the show. I know that there's always been some mixed reactions the last couple of years as Jeff Keighley has worked really hard to kind of put these shows together, and we all remember the horrible atrocity to humanity that was the VGX, which was not Jeff Keighley's fault, nor was it the gaming industry's fault. That fault belongs to Joel McHale, who proved to me, that he's probably one of the worst human beings I've ever seen, and lost all respect for that guy that very day. But last year, when it just became the quote-unquote Game Awards, in Vegas, it was a pretty good show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And that is even disregarding the fantastic surprise Zelda reveal at the end of the year, or at the end of the show, I really thought that it was a well put together presentation overall. There was an air of class and professionalism that Jeff Keighley and the crew is trying to imbue into the show. And although it didn't completely succeed, it was the first time out in trying to make it this big public sort of show and presentation. I think that it was a great and admirable step. I was entertained the entire way. I enjoyed seeing the awards handed out and seeing a lot of celebrities within the gaming industry come up. Boogie2988 was there, which I thought was just so freaking cool. And they had musical performances, which was great. I love that stuff. He was even teasing that they're going to reveal some musical performance, who the musical acts are going to be sometime in the next couple of days, I think, too. So I liked last year's show. I liked the list of nominees they had for Game of the Year. My preferred choice didn't win, but that's really the case with most award shows anyway. So that's fine. That is what it is. So when it comes to this year and these 5 nominees, I am really, really stoked on 3 of them. And those 3 are Bloodborne, Fallout 4, and Super Mario Maker, mostly because those are the 3 games that I've also played. I did, of course, dabble in The Witcher, and we all know how that turned out. I made a very famous video right when that game came out about my displeasure with how that game started, and so I actually stopped playing it, and it's easily my most hated and most thumbed down video by far. I pissed off so many people, which I knew to expect. It's actually really hilarious. I might even link it below so you can kind of you can check it out and watch it, and for anyone who'd never seen it and who loved The Witcher, you can feel free to yell at me and tell me I'm a stupid idiot all you want. After watching it, that's totally fine. It was a very popular video, though. So anyway, overall, we have these games announced as the Game of the Year. I did not play Metal Gear Solid 5. I totally recognize Metal Gear Solid as a great franchise, and I enjoyed the first 2, and I played most of 3, which was also great, but I did sadly never complete it when it came out. So, it's a great series. Metal Gear Solid 5 got a lot of 10s. I think that it's in serious contention to win Game of the Year this year, but I don't really think it will win. And so that's what's going on. So I have to say, between Bloodborne and Fallout 4, those are easily my 2 front runners for Game of the Year right now, which I anticipated after playing Bloodborne when it came out. I mean, a lot of you guys know I was raving about it like there's no tomorrow. I stand by that. It's one of my favorite games I've ever played. And that I was like, this is going to be my Game of the Year for sure. And then a couple of months later, Fallout 4 was finally announced, and then we know how that went at E3, and now the game's been in our hands for the last week. And I'm such a Fallout guy. I was like, well, okay, Fallout 4 may end up actually taking the place of my Game of the Year because Fallout is Fallout and it reigns supreme. Like the only thing that could overtake a Fallout game in a year for me would be like a Zelda or a Metroid game coming out that year. And that didn't happen this year. So right now, I'm kind of torn between Bloodborne and Fallout 4 as far as what I'd prefer, what is my personal Game of the Year. I'll figure that out as I get ready to put my list together at the end of the year. Really happy to see those games getting credit. Fallout 4 was an obvious one. Bloodborne wasn't really a shoo-in, and I'm really happy to see that it's getting this nomination. I really don't think it's going to win. It's probably on the lower end of the games I think will win, but I love seeing it being represented. Very super cool. Super Mario Maker, to me, is an odd choice, and because I have mostly Nintendo fans who follow the channel, I know I may get some flack for that. And bear in mind, you guys, I love the game. Super Mario Maker is a fantastic achievement in a game creation tool, and it's a lot of fun. It's amazing seeing like the infinite amount of levels and content that game provides due to what people are able to do. And it's great seeing people's ingenuity and their ability to create great Mario levels. I think that that's really fantastic. I love the game. So am I happy to see it here? Absolutely. Am I happy to see a Nintendo game represented? You bet. I think that that's really great news. It's probably the game that I'm the least stoked on being there. Well, I guess really The Witcher 3 would be the game I'm least stoked on being there. It's just that, excuse me, because I find Mario Maker to be more of a creation tool than a game, where it's not really the game that's providing content to us. It's based completely subjectively on other people providing the content. That's where I'm like, well, I don't know if I would have made it Game of the Year, even though it's fantastic. It's a lot of fun, of course. It never ends with content, and I absolutely think it's worth your $60 to pick up and own. I still just don't see it as a Game of the Year kind of contender personally, but it got great reviews. It's sold very well, and like I said, I did love it, so I'm happy to see it there. You know, if there was going to be a Nintendo game represented this year, I think that there would have probably been two better choices. Splatoon, which is a game that I haven't raved about, but I do think is fantastic. And I think that if that was nominated for Game of the Year, I would not have been surprised. It is that good. People love it that much. It is a lot of fun. I expected some different things out of it, but that doesn't mean it's not a great experience. So I'm surprised Splatoon's not there. And although this game hasn't released in the States, Xenoblade Chronicles X, I am really shocked that this show didn't account for that game coming out right in probably around the same week or so that the show award show is going to happen. Maybe they could have adjusted the release, the air date of the show to actually account for Xenoblade being in people's hands. Excuse me, having some North American or Western review sites actually review the game properly, not just the Japanese version that came out last April. This game seems like the kind of game along the lines of something like a Fallout or a Witcher. That's this huge, sprawling, beautiful, open-ended, sandbox RPG game. I mean, how can this not be in the contention for Game of the Year? And I say this because even the Japanese version has been reviewing very well, and we know how well Xenoblade Chronicles went, so I don't know. I just think it's kind of curious and too bad that game wasn't considered when it came to the Game of the Year nominations, but you know what? Maybe the people behind selecting the nominations actually have played the game and didn't feel it was worth it, so it is what it is. I'm still glad Super Mario Maker is there. And the other two games, like I said, man, I'm sorry, I'm totally choking on myself, guys. The other two games, The Witcher 3 and Metal Gear Solid, haven't played Metal Gear. The Witcher is just that title for me, man, where I had huge expectations. I bought it day one. I couldn't wait to play it, and it was just letting me down in the beginning. Now, I have recently decided, I've resigned myself to the fact that I'm getting more and more curious about that game and the experience. I always knew, and I even said it in my video where I talked about how disappointed I was. I knew that there was a great game beyond this several-hour intro that was just driving me so crazy that I didn't have the patience for. I know that there's a great game there. I know that it got great reviews for a reason. I know that almost everyone I know who played it loved the hell out of it because it is a very good game. So I think that I've realized that after the new year, once I've put a bunch of time into Fallout and a bunch of time into Xenoblade, and there's going to be kind of a lull for the first couple of months of the year, I think I'm going to go back, pick that game back up, and finally go through it. So I'm going to be really excited to give that game a solid chance and actually see what it's like. I think I'll have more patience at this time knowing what I'm going into and kind of seeing what that game is supposed to be about, having already sort of started it. So that's what's going to be happening there. Now, if I was to give a prediction for what I think is the most likely game to win this show, I think it is The Witcher. I think that based on people's responses when it came out in the year, the fact that it not only met most people's expectations, but somehow far exceeded them, which again blows my mind because I didn't like it, but whatever. It just feels like, and the kind of, I think, audience that the Game Awards cater to, and the kind of people who are probably in charge of selecting these things and knowing what's the best game to give Game of the Year to, I just see this show and these people, and of this list, I see The Witcher being the most likely to win. Right behind that is either Metal Gear or Fallout. I put Bloodborne and Super Mario Maker at the bottom of the list as far as games that are likely to win. I mean, they're all great games for different reasons. I think that there's a chance that any one of them can win. Like I said, I'm pulling for Fallout or Bloodborne to win, and I'd be happy if one of those did win, but I'm willing to bet right now, if I was going to put money on anything, I'm going to put money on The Witcher. So if and when that happens, you just remember that Rob predicted it. He called it right here and now. The Witcher 3 is probably going to win Game of the Year, and that's great. That's fine. I'm happy with what CD Projekt Red. Most people love the game, so my opinion really isn't relevant here. It's obviously a great game for the majority of the gaming public, and that's just the way of it. So either way, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm really happy to see this list come out. Again, happy Nintendo got a solid representation here this year as well. So what do you guys think? How do you feel about all 5 of these games being nominated? What do you think has the best chance? What's the game that you want to win? What's the game that you probably wanted to be nominated that wasn't nominated, and it's a crime against humanity that they didn't consider your game? I want to hear all those things below. And so, yeah, I guess that's it. We'll find out in a couple of weeks what actually wins Game of the Year. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. This is Rob Overlooked to Review, and I'll catch you guys next time on another video.